The first blow cracked across John Ellis's cheek like a thunderclap. He didn't see it coming. 1 second, he was stepping out of the liquor store on Main and 6th, clutching a six-pack of cheap beer. The next, his head snapped sideways and he tasted copper. Blood filled his mouth. "Get him!" someone barked. "Get the fucking baby killer!" Another punch. This one to his ribs. He stumbled back into the storefront, smashing into the plexiglass window with a grunt. Rain started to fall, soft, cold, relentless. Just like the hands that grabbed his jacket, yanking him forward. "You think you're a fucking hero?" A kid with a buzz cut screamed in his face. Couldn't have been older than 19. John tried to speak, but another fist drove into his gut, curling him forward. He coughed, the beer dropping from his fingers and bursting against the sidewalk. "Answer me, old man. You think we forgot what you did over there?" There were 3 of them, all teenagers, all adrenaline and hatred. One wore a denim jacket, covered in punk band patches. Another had a knife clipped to his belt. You don't get to walk around like nothing happened. You don't get to hide. John finally looked up, vision blurred. "I don't even know you." Wrong answer. The buzzcut kid slammed him again, elbow to the side of the head. John dropped to one knee. A boot caught him in the ribs. He fell, sideways into the gutter. "Don't pretend like you're some victim," the third boy said, voice flat. "My uncle came home in a fucking box. Yours came home and drank himself to death. You just disappeared." John curled his arms around his ribs. He felt the crack. He felt everything. And yet, he wasn't really there. His mind drifted. To the Mekong, to mud and fire and screaming, to a pile of bodies under a burning sun. "You all right, Grandpa?" the boy with the knife said. "Need a nap?" Laughter. Spit. Something hit his face. Warm, sticky. John flinched. Then, a pause. "Wait, that tattoo, on his forearm." Buzzcut leaned down, yanking John's sleeve up. Under the grime, the faded outline of a falcon clutching arrows. "Shit, he's really one of them." "Yeah?" the kid with the patches said. "Then this is for all of them." John didn't resist the next kick, or the one after that. He felt his consciousness slipping, drifting into black. But as he fell, as the rain turned everything cold and gray, he saw it, a small tattoo on Buzzcut's wrist, faded, homemade, an eagle, clutching arrows, exactly like the one his squad used in '69. His mouth opened. "Rico." The world vanished. He came to in a puddle. Blood had mixed with rainwater, forming a pink halo around his head. His left eye was swollen shut, ribs cracked, lips split. But he was breathing, barely. Sirens howled in the distance, disinterested, distant. No one stopped to help. No one ever did. He rolled onto his back and stared at the sky. Gray. Always gray. For 20 years he hadn't fought back. Not once. Not when the locals spat at him. Not when kids vandalized his trailer. Not when his boss paid him under the table and called him Grunt like it was a joke. But now, he'd seen that tattoo, and the name he hadn't spoken in 15 years had crawled out of his throat like a ghost. Rico, Private First Class, Enrique Benson, from Queens, smart mouth, sharp shot, dead at 19, or so he thought, the kid who beat him, the rage, the precision, the eyes, same shape, same jawline. "God damn," John whispered, wiping blood from his chin. "You're his." He forced himself to sit up, groaning. The six-pack was gone. So was his wallet. But they left the dog tags. He pulled them from under his shirt. Cold, heavy. The same tags Rico once used to deflect bullets in the jungle, joking he was immortal. John coughed, stood, and limped down the alley toward the train. Tracks, not to hide, to remember. 2 miles away, in a basement lit by a single flickering bulb, Buzzcut stared at his own reflection. The blood on his hands wasn't his, but it smelled like memory. Who was he? the kid with the patches asked, lighting a cigarette. Ellis, Buzzcut said. My mom, she said that name once. You think it's true? That he was with your dad? Buzzcut didn't answer. Just kept staring at the tattoo on his wrist, the same one his father had, and the same one Ellis had worn when they left Rico behind. You hesitate again, Ellis, and you're dead. The jungle didn't breathe. It watched. Night in the Aishau Valley was a coffin. Thick, wet, alive, every inch teeming with death. John gripped the M16 tighter, sweat soaking his palms. Rico was 5 feet ahead, crouched behind a tree, whispering over the radio. Eagle 3, eyes on village. No movement. Request green light, static. Then, Eagle 3, proceed. No prisoners. No prisoners? John hissed. They said this was recon. Rico cut him off. Shut the fuck up. You see that? Through the scope, a lantern, small, flickering, hanging from a hut's door. Probably just farmers. Then why the fuck is that AK leaning against the porch? John saw it now. Propped by the entrance. Black metal against woven straw. The eye. Lieutenant, barely 20, Harvard-educated, and already 3 shades of crazy, waved them forward. Clean sweep. Tight and fast. Let's go, devils. They moved in. 8 men. 2 squads. The first hut held a woman. Old, blind. She never screamed, just looked at them like she knew how this ended. They left her. Rico marked the door with red. Chalk. Clear. Second hut. Boys. Maybe 10. Maybe 12. 1 ran. Rico fired without hesitation. The sound cracked the silence like a whip. The body thudded against mud. The other boy froze, pissing himself. Jesus, John muttered. You think he didn't have a grenade? Rico snapped. You want to take that chance again? John said nothing. Couldn't. Third hut. Movement. A man this time. Young, lean, holding something. A stick? Rico shot him too. When they reached the center of the village, John stopped. A child, no more than 6, staring straight at him, covered in soot, holding a doll made of rags. His fingers shook. Ellis, take the shot. John didn't move. He's... A spotter! Take the fucking shot! I can't. He's a kid. The lieutenant stepped forward. Then you're compromised. He raised his own rifle. John turned away as the gun fired. Back in the present, John sat in his rusted trailer, lights off, breathing through his teeth. The cracked mirror across from him showed a ghost. Bruised. Broken. Alive. His fingers traced. The outline of his old tattoo. The falcon. The arrows. Rico's dead, he whispered. But that kid, the face. The tattoo, it wasn't coincidence. He reached under the sink, pulled out a tin box. Inside, maps, photos, letters. 1 envelope. Worn soft read to PFCR Benson, C.Co., 2nd Bat, 3rd Marines. He opened it. A picture of Rico, grinning, arm around John, jungle behind them, and on the back Rico's handwriting. If I don't make it home, find my brother. Tell him I wasn't a coward. John stared. Brother? The phone rang. He jumped. No one called. He picked up. Silent. A voice crackled. Young. Tight with emotion. You remember the village, Ellis? His blood froze. What do you want? You left him there. Buried in black sand. You ran. Who is this? Click. Deadline. John sat in. Silence. Then slowly reached for the .38 hidden under his cot. He hadn't used it in years, but this wasn't over. The past wasn't done with him yet. John drove through the back roads of Montgomery County with the gun on the passenger seat and Rico's. Photo on the dashboard. A storm was rolling in, clouds black as gunpowder, the horizon crackling. He wasn't sure what he was doing. Dayton was an hour away, but his hands weren't steering toward Rico's mother. They were steering toward an address burned into his memory. Camp Mercer, decommissioned, barbed wire rusted, buildings gutted. The place where they trained before they shipped off to Vietnam, and the place where, 15 years later, ghosts walked again. When he pulled up, the gate was already open. A car sat near the main barracks. John stepped out. Buzzcut was waiting. You both? Came, the kid said. You brought me here, John replied. Buzzcut nodded toward the building. He's inside. Who? You know who. John felt the cold settle into his spine. He entered. The barracks smelled like mold and oil. Flickering lanterns lined the floor, leading down the hall like runway lights for a dead man. At the end, a room, a chair, a man, alive. Older, worn, face, sunken, eyes sharp, hair white, hands folded in his lap. Rico, John breathed. The man looked up and smiled. You're slower now, he rasped, but still ugly as ever. John dropped to his knees. They said you were dead. They wanted me dead, Rico said. Command made me disappear. Why? Because I talked. John shook. Talked? About the village, about what happened, what they made us do. John's throat tightened. They said you were KIA. I was captured, spent 8 years in a hole, came back. No, medals, no name. You had a son. I had a lot of things, Rico said. They took them. John looked behind him. Buzzcut stood in the doorway, watching. He brought me to you, John said. He's angry, Rico said, but he didn't come to kill you. Then why? To make you remember. John clenched his fists. I never forgot. You forgot what it meant, Rico said. We were told to be monsters, and we obeyed. That's the real crime, John whispered. I tried to save them. You froze. I was 20, and I was 19, Rico said, and I still pulled the trigger. Silence. Then, you want forgiveness? Rico asked. John didn't answer. Rico stood. Walked over. Took his old tags from John's pocket. This, he said, this ain't what saves you. He threw them into the dirt. You want peace? Rico's voice cracked. Tell the truth. Tell the world what we did. Not just me. You. Buzzcut stepped forward. I recorded this. Everything. It's going online. No more hiding. John closed his eyes, and for the first time in years, he felt the weight lift. A little. The motel room stank of mildew and dust. John sat in the corner, the old .38 cradled in his lap. Across from him, Rico sipped whiskey straight from the bottle, eyes heavy with memory. Buzzcut, Luis, stood by the window, phone in hand. The red light blinked. Still recording. This isn't what I planned, John said. Luis didn't look at him. Plans change, Rico chuckled bitterly. Yeah, like war. Starts with medals, ends with holes. Silence. I never meant for it to happen like that, John whispered. That village, the kid. I hesitated. Because you were human, Rico said, and we were trained to stop being that. John looked up. I saw your face every night, for decades. And I saw yours, Rico replied. Every time I coughed up blood in that jungle cage. Luis stepped forward. Then why now? Why bring it all back? Because lies rot, Rico said. And ours festered too long. John held up his tags. You want me to confess? Fine. Turn that thing up. Luis nodded. John stared into the camera. My name is John Ellis, United States Marine Corps, 2nd Battalion, 3rd Marines. In April 1969, under orders, I participated in the clearance of a civilian village in the A Shau Valley. We were told it housed Viet Cong. We found children. His voice cracked. I didn't stop it. I didn't pull the trigger, but I didn't stop it. Silence. I thought Rico died that day. He didn't. He paid for my silence with years in a hole. Now I pay it back by telling the truth. He looked away. I'm sorry. Luis stopped the recording. Now what? John asked. Rico stood slowly. Now the world hears it. Then maybe someone like us won't have to carry this alone again. A knock. 3 slow raps. Rico opened the door. 2 men in suits. Government. Silent. Mr. Benson. Mr. Ellis, one said, you've violated national security protocols. Luis stepped forward, holding the phone. This is already live. You shut it down, it gets downloaded. They froze. You think we didn't plan for this? He added. The agents exchanged glances, then left. Rico exhaled. Truth scares them more than bullets. John looked at him. So that's it? No, Rico said. That's the beginning. 3 weeks later, the video had 4.2 million views. Protests. Headlines. Flags. Apologies. John didn't watch. He lived alone now, in a small cabin near the river. 1 room, no phone. Every morning he walked to the water. Said Rico's name, said the others, said the boys. He wrote letters to mothers, to sons, to ghosts. And when Luis visited, they sat in silence. Until one day, Luis said, "He forgave you, you know." John didn't answer. Luis stood. "Maybe it's time you did too." He left. John looked out at the trees. The wind moved like breath. He whispered, "No one waits forever." And for the first time, he believed it.